What are you saying, preacher? Sometimes we are like up here where I am. And we think that we all of that in a bag of chips and a Coke. Say amen. But every now and then, God got to let you fall on your back so you can look to the hills of where cometh your help, knowing that all of your help comes from the Lord. See, you too dependent on yourself. Say amen. You done made yourself a God. You done made your husband a God. You done made your wife a God. You done made your children a God. Then nobody can be God but God. He wants you to see something different about him, but sometimes he got to change your position and your attitude. Say amen. Because you think you know it all. Nobody can tell you nothing. I hear from God just like you do. Yeah, you do, but do you follow him? Do you do what he tells you to do? What did you do with the information? Say amen. I'm done. Jesus, after having this conversation with Martha, he proceeded to go towards the tomb. And as he was on his way, Mary also came out as well, who was not privy to the conversation that Jesus had had with Martha. And she comes out and she says the same thing. If you had been here, my brother would not have died. But Jesus, only thing he asked at that point is, where have you laid him? Something should have clicked right then that something was about to happen. Say amen. There are some people that are going to be around you that don't want to see you blessed. Say amen. I call them haters just like the kids do. Say amen. And there were some haters around because some of those that said, listen, this man who can give sight to the blind, could he not have caused this man, or could he not have kept this man from dying? But you got to understand purpose. You got to understand what you're here for. Say amen. And the purpose that Jesus came was so that they could see that he had resurrection power. Say amen. And so it wasn't for him to heal Lazarus, but it was for him to raise Lazarus. And so verse 38, Jesus therefore, again groaning in himself, coming to the grave. It was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. So if you imagine it, they didn't have Sidney Jones and Williams and all these things we have today. When the folk died, they just put them in a cave. And there would have been many bodies in one cave. And to keep the smell from coming forth, they would just lay a stone upon the mouth of the cave. And this is what they did. But when Jesus came, verse 39, Jesus said, take ye away the stone. Martha jumping up again says, the sister of him that was there said unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he had been dead 4 days. Listen, some of our spiritual lives are just stink. Some of our spiritual lives have just been dead for so long. Say amen. Amen. But even in those dead situations, Jesus can raise you up. Say amen. Amen. Listen, it wasn't a fact. See, what we think about is God, we put limits on God, but God is not limited. Say amen. Amen. So Jesus wasn't concerned about the fact that he had been dead this long. That's stuff we worry about. Say amen. You know, we don't want to deal with certain folks, say amen, because how they act or how they look, say amen, and we don't want to deal with them. But Jesus could take the stink as a person and make them smell like a rose. Say amen. Listen, he wasn't concerned about how long had been dead, because he had already told Martha that I am the resurrection and the life. Say amen. Amen. In order to come out, you got to have some faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Listen, you got to believe it's going to happen before it actually happens. Say amen. For we walk by faith and not by sight. See, her flesh had raised up and started talking. Say amen. Instead of her faith. But Jesus again lets her know. He said unto her, said I not unto thee that if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldst see the glory of God. If you take some time just to believe, you will see the glory of God. You will see everything that God has for you. You will get everything that God has in store for you if you only believe. And so he goes back in verse 41. Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. See, Jesus and God had a relationship. Say amen. He knew that God heard his prayers. Amen. Don't you know we should have the same relationship with God ourselves, where we know that he hears and he answers prayers? So he said, listen, I know you hear me, and I know that you've always heard me. But because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast